Everyone, very welcome. Thanks, Christina, for the introduction. I work also at the Swedish Energy Agency and together with Christina in the coordination team of the CETPartnership. We are very happy to have you all here today and to welcome you to a day with information about our upcoming call of the CETPartnership 2023. So let's go, Christina.
Yeah, let's get started. Here's the agenda for this event. So we're going to start now with this introduction, and we're going to give you a little bit of a background about what this partnership is all about. And you're going to be able to learn more about all the different thematic areas we have, the different calls modules that we have in our program. We'll also talk to you about the process of applying to our partnership. We'll go through the national and transnational guidelines, tell you how you can submit the proposal, and then give you a little bit of a background on how we how we do evaluations. There'll even be some time to talk about matchmaking. So we have a platform where you can find potential partners for your project. And then at the end, we'll be doing a question and answer for any kind of curiosities or information you might want to have about our partnership and these calls. After the question and answer session, we'll be opening up to national sessions where you'll get to go to your country's representative and ask specific questions about what kind of regulations there might be that are specific to your specific country that you're applying from. There also will be time for those who've set up matchmaking meetings to get together and start finding out what kind of ideas you might want to work with together. So that's a quick overview of what we're going to do today. I think the next slide will show you something that's rather important. We would love to hear your questions. The chat is closed. So we are going to take in all your questions through this forum instead. It's called Slido. There's a QR code right here. And also the link. So please feel free to copy this down now so that you can submit any questions you might have during the session. Here we go. So, Fredrik, can you tell us a little bit about the partnership?
Yes, I reckon many of you might already know plenty about the CETPartnership. Maybe some of you already were engaged also in the first call that we've already done, but some of you hopefully are new also to the initiative. So I will give just a little overview so you understand the context of the partnership and what that context then this call is set up in. So if we go to the next slide, please. So we are, you could say, a collaboration of many different funding partners and ministries all over Europe and also with partners outside of Europe. What we do is we have different research innovation programs that we combine together to be able both to fund projects with international collaboration in the projects, but we also do various activities, everything from doing strategies, but also to follow up the projects and working with the stakeholders in the community. We can go to the next slide, please. So the overall ambition is to work with the clean energy transition. Our biggest support in terms of funding is the European Commission, and together with the funding from all the partners, which is national and regional funding programs, we are able to fund projects in different thematic areas in a variety of technologies and systems that are relevant for the transition. And the process of doing this is through the annual joint calls, one of them then that you will be presented today. Go to the next slide, please. This picture might look very complex, and in a sense it is complex, but our work is also to try to do this as simple and easy as you still when you apply. Basically, what we want to say to you is that when you apply in an international project, and you will hear much more about this when you hear about the scope, but also the criteria for each project. but you will be partnering with partners from other countries, different organizations. When you write your proposal, you write a project together, but in the end, for all the projects that are funded, the funding comes from a national original funding partner that funds that specific partner. So if you are a partner from Sweden, or if you are a partner from Austria or from Spain, then depending on where you're from, you will get your funding from that country or that region that had the funding instrument. But this is something we coordinate through the call. And by that, we get the funded projects, and you get a variety of possibilities to collaborate internationally in your project. Next slide, please. So what's the background for this initiative? And we can go to the next slide right away. We have done this kind of collaboration for a long time in Europe, then in the format of different ERANET collaborations, some of them still ongoing. The difference between the partnership, you could say, and these earlier ERANETs is that in the partnership, we have combined all the topics into a big partnership. And that's why when you will see the call, we have different topics in the call. In the earlier collaboration, we were focused in many different networks, but we didn't coordinate it in one network. But having that said, that means we have a lot of experience in doing this. At the same time, we're trying to improve and make it better so that you can do your research with the best support. And here below, you can see some of the former ERANETs that some of you might be familiar with and might have had a project funded through. Then over to the next slide. Last but not least, on the basis of the partnership, we did an extensive work to develop a strategic research and innovation agenda. This is all published online, and the work with that we did together with a lot of different networks and experts. This strategic research agenda is the basis for all the core topics and the priorities we do. So this is something good to keep in mind, and this is what we rely on when we look for the projects. We want them to contribute to this STRIA. Next slide, please. And as mentioned, one of the main activities are the annual joint calls. When we prepare the joint calls, we do this through different thematic areas, which we call transition initiatives, TRIs. You will see a lot of abbreviations. And these TRIs, they can work together to make a call topic together. So it doesn't have to be aligned only to the TRI, but many times they are also in the format of the context of that specific TRI. All of this you will find in the call text, of course, but you can also find on our webpage more information about the continuous work that is done by the TRIs. Next slide. Then, of course, you will get much more information today, but you should keep an eye if you don't already are following it. We have our webpage, but we are also active on LinkedIn and on X, formerly Twitter, and on YouTube. Next slide, please. So I leave back to you, Christina.
Thank you so much, Fredrik. So now we're ready to hear more about these different thematic areas, the call modules. And as you can see with this picture, there are 10 different modules that we're going to go through. You're going to basically get a little teaser, hear about each module in a nutshell. But of course, I can imagine you'll be very curious. So if you do have questions, please do use the Slido to ask any questions you might have about these different modules. Or I would highly recommend contacting the representatives at these email addresses if you do have more detailed questions. So with that said, let's go to the first module.
Shall I go?
I believe
Please
this
wait
is
for the
on-
video.
Yeah, thank you.
In a particular country. We need it all over Europe.
You and me together, we could be anything.
And not only with one energy carrier.
In such systems, electricity, heating and cooling, water, gas network work together to achieve a resilient and efficient infrastructure.
Networks need to provide the backbone to create the smart, reliable, and resilient energy system of the future.
This, of course, will be possible only if digital technologies and solutions are applied to supervise, control, and optimize the system.
The Transition Initiative 1 Integrated Net Zero Emissions Energy System is addressing this challenge.
Transition Initiative 1 is about integrated energy systems.
It develops appropriate call topics and accompanying activities.
Michele De Nigris, I think now you are welcome to go on with your presentation. At least I see the movie is done.
Thank you very much. And if we can come back to the slides, it would be fantastic. Good morning, everybody. And my name is Michele De Nigris. I am the lead expert of TRI 1 on integrated net zero emission energy systems. So let's go immediately to the core modules because we have very little time. If we can have the next slide. The first core module is dedicated to direct current technologies. Direct current technologies are a formidable enabler for renewables integration. Think only about the output voltage of photovoltaics, of electrical storage, the output voltage of batteries. They are an enabler for long distance transmission of very high quantities of electric power, thanks to their efficiency and to the less space occupied by lines. And they are the only technologies for connecting long distance offshore wind farms. So you see that we are really in the center of the development of integrated energy system. Without entering into the detail, whatever voltage level, high voltage, medium voltage, or low voltage, there are still many outstanding open research and innovation points to be studied, developed, and demonstrated. So if this is your field of research and development, this is your core module. So send us your proposal on technology, on control, on supervision, integration, and hybridization of energy networks. And please consider the fact that on the 26th of September, through the B2Match platform, we will have a dedicated workshop to illustrate and to discuss all these technologies and all the core module aspects. So if we can go to the second slide and the second core module, this core module is special. It is special because it has been developed in an international framework, and it has been developed in conjunction between the TRI 1 and the TRI 2. We want to call you to build on existing assets, existing initiatives, and existing projects to accelerate the deployment of replicable and scalable solutions. We have 5 themes for you: flexibility, storage, integration, reliability, data management. And we want you to apply for TRLs of a high level between 5 and 6. So if you have ideas and proposals to accelerate one or more of these themes, this is your call module. And we really look forward to analyze your ideas and build up together the future of the integrated energy systems. Thank you, and we look forward to seeing you back in the TRI 1. Thank you.
So much, Michele. And I think we're ready for next TRI. Yo.
Thank you. Thank you, Cristina. May I have the slide or the video?
The video's coming.
Video's coming.
We want to realize a power system that is fully built on renewable energy.
We need improved technologies that are able to convert and store diverse forms of energy.
In order to minimize land use and environmental impact, they need to do that in a highly efficient manner.
And we need innovative processes that allow to produce these technologies with a highly optimized use of material and resources.
The Transition Initiative 2's mission is to develop a portfolio of zero-emission power technologies and solutions based on renewable energy sources as the backbone of the future energy system.
Only by this we will manage an energy transition with European technologies and solutions.
Being able to deliver carbon-neutral electricity accessible to all, contributing to the resilience of the system and of Europe's security of the energy supply.
Transition Initiative 2, Enhanced Zero-Emission Power Systems, is dealing with these topics and develops respective call topics and accompanying activities.
You and me together, we could be anything, anything.
Oh, Francesco, please.
Hello. Thank you. If you can go to the slide, we will see that the Clean Energy Transition TRI 2 is dealing with two call module. Please, next slide already. The two call module will be substantial identical, except for the fact that we have a 03A call, which a call for project research with a research-oriented approach, and so targeting TRL 4 or above, while the 03B calls for project with innovation-oriented approach, targeting TRL 6 or above. The project need to address zero-emission power production technologies such as bioenergy, concentrated solar power, ocean, offshore, PV, and wind. They could also integrate different renewable energy technologies or coupling and hybridizing them. Also looking at cogeneration of power and other energy carriers. The project needs to increase the energy conversion efficiency at full, increase the performance and or lifetime, develop innovative technology and components, decrease investment costs and LCOE, or improve the overall economics, demonstrate the visibility of scaling up, and demonstrate the technology in different geographical weather conditions. Reduce environmental impact or improve multiple use of occupied land surface or maritime space. Minimize the use of critical raw material and or apply circularity by design, so combining the efficiency, the economics, and the overall environmental impact. Next slide, please. If we go to the thematic areas which are not prescriptive, but which are an indication of what we are looking for, we can see bioenergy for power generation, which we have high efficiency biomass cogeneration with high share of power and use of waste and possibly negative carbon emission. Concentrated solar power and solar thermal energy, focusing on line-focused solar power plant, but components, central receiver, turbo machinery, but also digitalization of CSP plant and innovative coating for mirrors. Ocean energy is dealing mainly with dry testing due to the fact that we probably will not get too much large projects, so it's very difficult to perform it in real water conditions, but also tidal blades, connection system, and reduce the cost of course, maintenance, and innovative solutions such as salinity gradient energy. Next slide. The other technology area are offshore renewables, so with new material or novel application of existing material for moorings and connections, operation and maintenance, site-specific marine observation and modeling for forecasting and improving performances. Solar photovoltaics will also deal with performance enhancement and cost reduction of the main advanced PV technologies with new materials, lifetime reliability and operation and maintenance and digitalization, and new application and integration of PV in different environment, agrivoltaic, landscaping integration, floating PV, and so on. Last slide, if we can go, with wind energy that is related to next generation of wind turbine technology, cost efficiency, energy efficient and low environmental impact, atmospheric modeling, digital twin for turbine, operation and maintenance, and length integration as well for increasing the also the social and environmental acceptance. And we have also added this time the hybrid renewable energy solution with a lot of site integration optimization, for instance, PV and CSP, PV and wind and other combination, but also integration with storage, so optimizing especially the renewable energy power production. So when the storage can also imply an improvement of the power production technology, and hybrid system with the combining electricity generation with it or with other energy carriers like PV thermal, PV hydrogen, CSP, and so on. Remember that the TRL is related to the type of call module that you are going to choose. So 03A low TRL, 03B a little bit higher, and of course also the national support will depend on the choice. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Francesco. That was very good. Now we're going down to call topics 4 and 5. There we have a leading expert, Agnes Stageland and Isabel Cabrita. Hello, Age. I think your video will be coming in here shortly.
Very good. Looking forward to the video. And before we see the video, I will just like, yeah, there it goes. There it goes.
Carbon capture and use can play an important role in decarbonization of industrial processes, and also along with the development and use of renewable-based fuels.
Global warming is a huge challenge for all of us, and we need to apply all the tools in our toolbox to mitigate global warming. And one of them is CO2 capture, storage, and utilization, CCUS.
Carbon storage is considered a critical option in the portfolio of solutions available to combat climate change.
Because it allows for significant reductions in CO2 emissions from fossil-based systems, bridging to a clean and sustainable energy future.
However, a number of questions still remain to be answered.
And this is what we are addressing in our transition initiative, together with hydrogen and renewable fuels. This is very important to make sure that we reach global climate targets. Thank you, Christina, for showing the video. And we are now into the Transition Research Initiative number 3. We have 2 core modules. I will first present the one on CCUS, and then my colleague Isabel Cabrita will present the core module on hydrogen and renewable fuels. What you see in front of you is a brief description of the core module on CCUS, that is carbon capture, utilization, and storage. And what we are looking for are projects that can facilitate the emergence of CO2 capture, utilization, and storage technologies. And we are opening up for projects that can lead to the deployment of CCUS within energy-intensive industries. We are looking for projects that can advance low-cost CO2 capture. We are opening up for transport and injection of CO2. We would also like to see projects on CO2 storage, and we are opening up for CCUS technologies and also for negative emission technologies. And if you look at the expected impact here to the right, funded projects should have a significant contribution to the green transition by accelerating the development and deployment of CCUS technologies. And all projects, they must advance the state of the art and contribute with new knowledge and new competence that help us bring this technology closer to commercialization. And the project consortia, it should be, as usual in CTP, eligible partners from at least 3 of the CTP countries. But in addition to that, we would like to see industry being involved as formal partners in the projects. The technology readiness level should be from 5 to 9. And this was only a brief overview, and you need to read the call text carefully to find out all the details. So over to you, Isabel.
Okay, thank you. I'm presenting the call on hydrogen and renewable fuels, and thank you, Åge, for introducing me. So this actually focuses on technology, and it has different aspects related to production technologies, but also infrastructure and distribution issues, and also application. Our expected impact is that these fuels will substitute partly or totally, in certain cases, the fossil fuels, and that will contribute to lower radically the emissions so that we can achieve the carbon neutrality in 2050. In terms of consortium and entities, is similar to the CCUS partnership. And in the case of TRLs, I would like to say that the aim is 5 to 9, but it can have parts in the project that the TRL is lower if they can contribute to an overall achievement between those 2 levels. Next slide, please. I just have here, and I'm going to try to be brief, the R&D focus areas, but I invite you to read the call text, because you have on the hydrogen part where we are focusing on production technologies related to new concepts for electrolyzers, blue hydrogen, and also from biomass integrating CCS. And we also focus on infrastructure and distribution issues. In the case of renewable fuels, we are focusing on new technologies using different feedstocks, and also focusing on upgrade technologies for biomethane production. And this is in addition to the 2022 call. We are focusing on marine and aviation fuels and also renewable ammonia. In the case of end-use applications, which this year we are also integrated in the call, we have a focus on stationary applications, but also on mobility for long-distance heavy-duty road transportation and marine applications and aviation. I would like to stress also the fact that cross-cutting issues should be addressed, specific to the technologies like safety, sustainability, pollution, materials, but also cross-cutting issues related to regulation, digitalization, and societal aspects. But these ones will not be considered if they are put alone as project proposals. They have to be included in the technological proposal. Well, this is all. Thank you very much for your attention. back to you, Christine.
Yeah, thank you, Isabella. Now we're going to go on to the next call modules, where we have Gadi Greenbrook. Gadi, hello. Your video is coming on now for call module 6 and 7.
I think we will first hear video.
Yeah.
There is one important thing to know when talking about the challenges of the Transition Initiative 4 on heating and cooling.
Do you know that 50% of our energy demand in Europe is for heating and cooling, for buildings and for industry?
Improved technologies and systems need to be developed, enabling 100% climate-neutral heating and cooling by 2050.
That's why we're looking for innovations and working to get these innovations accelerated for Europe.
We need to think about solutions and storage options for the heating demand peak in winter and the increasing cooling demand peak in summer.
The Transition Initiative 4 Efficient Zero-Emission Heating and Cooling Solutions is focusing on this challenge. In this regard, it develops call topics and accompanying activities.
For Europe, for a climate-neutral Europe in 2050.
My name is Gerdy Breemroek. I'm the leading expert of the TRI, the Transition Initiative on Heating and Cooling, and I'm sure we will see the presentation shortly. We have two challenges for you in the call 2023. The first one is call topic 6, which is on heating and cooling technologies. If you are researching or if you are working on an innovation that can accelerate the heating and cooling transitions, and you're working on enhanced and improved heating and cooling technologies, this is the call module for you. It's covering the whole technological scope of heat and cold sources, where you can think about solar thermal technologies, also storage technologies, thermal storage, very important to address those peaks, heating and cooling networks and conversion by heat pumps, for example, and end-use systems. It's trying to get the heating and cooling transition accelerated. And in the next slide, you also see a graphical representation of what we're looking for: heat and cold sources, thermal storage, heating and cooling networks and conversion and end-use systems. If you have innovations that fit that topic, please consult the call module and look if you can have a successful CET partnership application in 2023. The second call module we have for you is on geothermal energy technologies. Also here, this is a broad challenge addressing everything that's needed to accelerate geothermal energy. And with that, we are collaborating with the TRI on power technologies, because it encompasses geothermal for heating and cooling, but also for power generation, also underground thermal energy storage, and the co-production of minerals from geothermal resources. The scope encompasses identification and assessment, resource development and operation and integration into the energy system. And if you have innovations that fit this challenge, please consult the call text and look if this can help you to successful CET partnership application. We're summarizing this again graphically in the next slide. And what you can also see is that besides the technological progress that we are expecting from the successful projects, we also consider cross-cutting issues that need to be addressed by the projects when relevant. So I hope this will make you interested to consult the call text and come to us with proposals that accelerate that heating and cooling transition.
Wonderful. Thank you, Gary. Now we'll go on to the next call module, number 8, where we have Tina Reinerson is a leading expert. Tina, welcome. Let's see if we can watch your video here first. So, over to you.
Integration is the key.
The mission of integrated regional energy systems is to bring together ecosystems for energy transition on a European level.
More and more private and municipal companies, but also communities and citizens, get interested in exchanging excess heat or self-produced solar power.
They need support to develop their own, tailor-made integrated solutions. Solutions that meet the individual regional and local requirements and demand.
Regional and local energy systems are not only infrastructure, but they also have social, political, economical, and environmental dimensions.
Leveraging synergies and flexibility potentials can make it possible to efficiently provide, host, and utilize up to 100% renewable energy in the regional supply.
The Transition Initiative 5 is focusing on developing and validating integrated regional energy systems. It develops corresponding call topics and accompanying measures.
Need owners with a challenge-driven approach is the focus of this call, where specific solutions for a regional context are brought together on a European level.
Thank you. See. Yes, hello, I am Tina Ringesson at the Swedish Energy Agency, and I will be presenting this challenge. Yes, so the challenge is called Integrated Regional Energy System, and this is also the focus of call module 8. We are looking for projects that can create or strengthen regional energy systems. Perhaps most prominently the network of actors in it, what we sometimes refer to as energy transition ecosystems. A constellation of actors working together towards shared goals. While technological development is not the main focus of this call, we believe that innovation rarely happens in isolation, and energy transition requires collaboration between different actors. So we want to be able to make better use of infrastructures and connections and create synergies between actors in a region. And by region, we mean a geographical context, larger than the local, but smaller than a national level, typically with some kind of specific characteristics, for example, a more rural area of a region or more urban. We believe that it is necessary to depart from the existing needs in the region, and it's very positive in these projects if you can make use of existing plans or roadmaps that already exist in this region. And also, although you can create something like a new network, it's also great to add to existing regional initiatives. And if there are some similar initiative to be able to add new aspects or new partners or strengthen these networks. And the reason that it's good to do this as a transnational collaboration is that regions with more or less similar aspects in different countries can collaborate transnationally to better understand their context and solve problems together, and make solutions that are easier to scale up on a larger level. Yeah, I think that is it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tina. And it looks like you have an event tomorrow as well.
Oh, yes, sorry, that's true. The next slide, please.
Or we can perhaps just say that tomorrow.
Yes, so if you are interested in learning more about this, tomorrow we will have a webinar and a matchmaking event specifically for this call. And you can read more about it on the CETPartnership webpage.
Great, that sounds exciting. Let's go to the next call. We have number 9 now. Fredrik Backman is the leading expert here. Fredrik, are you ready? We have a video for you that I believe is coming. Hope in just a moment, hopefully. Here.
Decarbonizing the energy supply and production processes of industries is key for a carbon-free future.
The reason for this is that clean energy technologies on their own is not enough to reach Europe's 2030 and 2050 climate targets.
Electricity and hydrogen will play a significant role. And where carbon emissions cannot be avoided, CO2 shall be captured and utilized.
For example, for long lifetime products or to synthesize new fuels and chemicals.
It is also necessary to develop process solutions for integrated industrial energy systems that enables efficient carbon-neutral industry production sites, and also takes industrial energy systems into development as part of the entire energy system.
Integrated industrial power, heating and cooling systems, hybrid solutions, and novel technologies need to be developed, demonstrated, and validated.
This initiative supports decarbonization of the industrial energy systems by having a process integration perspective.
The Transition Initiative 6 is focusing on this challenge.
Thank you very much. As you can see, I'm the leading expert for the Transition Initiative number 6, Industrial Energy Systems. Next slide, please. In this, we only have one call module in this TRI, and the focus here is not on technologies, but on the industrial processes and the industrial as a system. We have what we might call 3 challenges. Number 1 is reducing the industry's process-related greenhouse gas emissions. 2 is integrating energy and resource-efficient industrial energy systems. And 3 is removing carbon emissions from the carbon cycle in industrial energy systems. TRI6 has an end-use focus. We do connect both with the challenge of TRI number 5, but also with TRI number 3 with the CCUS, storage and fuel and hydrogen. So we try to cooperate as much as possible with them. We have a TRL scale of 3 to 7, which means that some part of the application can be on a TRL level 3, for example. We have a need to have both industry partners and research partners. So we want this mix. Next slide, please. We do want to connect to the Repower EU plan, and we do this by focusing our topics on energy and resource efficiency, and also on substituting fossil fuel as an energy source in the industrial processes. It can be, for example, a symbiosis partnership or something like that. That's it for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Fredrik. Then we'll go on to the last call module, number 10. And there we have leading expert Stefan Novak. Hello, Stefan. I think we'll do your video now.
Thank you, Christina. Looking forward to the video first.
Buildings can help a lot if we want to achieve our transmission goals.
Did you know that 35% of the EU's greenhouse gas emissions are coming from the building sector, or that 30% of the global energy final demand are related to energy consumption in buildings?
But how can buildings become an active element in the energy system?
How can zero carbon technologies become a standard element in existing or new buildings?
How can we enhance the capability to efficiently produce, store and use energy in the residential sector?
And also in public and commercial buildings, particularly for example in service and mobility infrastructure buildings?
This is precisely the topic of this transition initiative.
The Transition Initiative 7, Integration in the Built Environment, is focusing on answering these questions.
Yes, so my name is Stefan Novak. I'm the leading expert of TRI number 7, and I will focus on the call modules 10A and 10B. Next slide, please. The topic is about clean energy integration in the built environment in a very broad sense. We have 2 call modules here, but those 2 are exactly identical in terms of content and scope. The difference is only whether they are more on the research side or more already downstream into the innovation and implementation area. So in principle, I can cover both of these calls in this slide. The goal is really to develop and enable the integration of new efficient energy technologies for buildings, not only for buildings, also for the built environment. And this covering generation, use, storage, grids, and mobility. And the goal is also to focus on the physical, technical, aesthetical, and digital integration. Maybe not all at the same time, but all of these are aspects of the integration that we would like to see. The scope is to transform buildings or the built environment in general from a passive to a more active role in the future energy system in terms of 2 challenges. One, the integration of renewable energy conversion technologies for the different energy vectors. And the second one, how digitalization can help us on this way. We hope to have an impact in terms of the solutions that are being researched or innovated through these projects, and then also hopefully adopted by the building community, be it architects, engineers, industry, etc. The project consortia are like for the other TRIs. Here we concentrate in particular on energy, building, and construction research. And the TRI levels are from 4 for the research-oriented actions, that's 10A, and above 6 for the 10B. Next slide, please. If we look at the focus of TRI 7, and you can click once more, please, there is a positioning of TRI 7 and the call modules 10A and 10B that I would like to point your focus on. That is, we are really looking between, on the one hand, the individual technologies, such as those developed in TRI 2 or TRI 4, and the more system-oriented activities like TRI 5 or the Driving Urban Transition Partnership, which is a parallel partnership taking place. So we see the focus really on the interface between the technologies and the integration, and address the building and built environment perspective with an emphasis on integration. And I can only highlight very much this integration aspect. We would not like to see individual technologies only, but how they are integrated into the building concept. Last slide, please. If we look at the building or built environment typologies that we're looking for, this is again very broad. It can cover existing and new buildings. It can be on residential and non-residential, public and private buildings. It can be on old and historical and also special buildings such as sports stadia, music performance, musea, etc. And it can also be in the service, mobility, and logistics infrastructures such as roads, bridges, railways, shipping, infrastructure, or terminals. And with that, we're looking very much forward to new ideas in this very important area. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Stefan, and thanks all the others of you leading experts. Now, hopefully, you as listener and participants in this event, you've got a little bit of the tastes from the different topics, the call modules. You heard about 10 different call modules, which covers the different topics in this call. And when they were presented, you also heard from the leading experts, which were then organized along these different thematic areas, the TRIs. As we mentioned earlier, you can find more information about this, of course, on our webpage and in the call text, of course, about the call. We will soon go into a short coffee break. After the coffee break, we will come back with more information specifically about the call. So we hope that you will stay tuned for that. Before we do the coffee break, I also wanted to make some more important information, because later on today there will also be some sessions where you have the opportunity to meet some of the national and regional funding partners. But you should be aware both that not all of the regional national funding agencies have are available today, but some of them have national events happening the coming days and the coming weeks. So this you should look out for on our webpage. There you can find all the national events which might be very important for you as an applicant, because besides the topic and the thematic area that where you are going to meet a challenge with your project, it is very important that you know what are the criteria on the national level or regional level from the funding partner where you apply. So this you should keep an eye on our webpage. Now, I think we have just a slide for the coffee break, but maybe if you put that on, then every one of you can see that very soon here that we plan to start again at 11:05. Oh, you changed. Let's start at 11 then. Things are moving here because we are on time. That's good. So let's start on 11. Move that back to 11. We have some extra time because some of you were very efficient in the presentations. So take this time. See you back in 7 minutes. And you know also you can add questions on the Q&A all the time using the barcode that was shown earlier. Okay, see you soon again. Okay, everyone. I hope you had some time to refill your coffee and get ready for the next session. What we will do now is to go more into the details about the aspects, both in terms of the transnational aspects of the call, how the international collaboration should take part and what the criteria are in the call text, and also some parts about the national guidelines. So for this, I want to head over to our colleagues in the call management. And I'm looking now if I get a screen. I think we should have Aiko or Maria. I'm not sure if I can see any one of you right now.
I will start.
Yeah,
Do you hear
great,
me?
Aiko. So Aiko, you are welcome to introduce us a bit to the call and what are the rules.
Thank you, Fredrik. Yes, I'm Aiko Hirander at Nordic Energy Research, which is a platform for cooperative energy research in the Nordic countries. In CETPartnership, Nordic Energy Research has a role to coordinate the task of call management. Now we will give you an overview of Joint Call 2023 together with our Italian partner who has developed the submission platform. Joint Call 2023 has a total call budget of over 127 million euro from almost 50 national or regional funding organizations, plus additional funding from the European Commission. Funding organizations fund legal entities based in their country or region and make funding arrangements directly with project partners in funding projects. Please note that different funding organizations have different national or regional requirements and fund different core modules, which you can see in the next slide, please. As you see here, each project consultant partner, shown in the lower part of the slide, will have funding arrangement with the funding organization in its country region, shown in the upper part of this slide. Reporting will be done between them. Besides the reporting between the project consulting partner and the funding organization, the project consortium will have reporting to the partnership, which received funding from the European Commission. Next slide, please. There are three levels of eligibility criteria. The first is transnational eligibility criteria, which will be checked by us at call management. And second is call module requirements, which will be checked by the PRIs. And the third is national regional requirement, which will be checked by the funding organization. And the call process, which includes two stages, which I will explain more a little later. The two stages, which is the pre-proposal stage and the full proposal stage. And this eligibility check will be done in both stages. Next slide, please. View about the transnational eligibility criteria. The first is as proposal must be submitted in English. It must be written in English and submitted on the submission platform before the deadlines, following the mandatory templates. The templates are available for download on the start page of the submission platform and has instruction regarding the total page number, page margins, font types, and so on. The second is a project consortium must be built of at least 3 independent legal entities applying and being eligible for funding by relevant national or regional fund organization from at least 3 different countries participating in the call. Of these, at least 2 must be from EU member states or Horizon Europe associated countries. The third is the total effort of one project consortium partner can be maximum 60% of the total project efforts measured in past months. The fourth is the total effort of the project consortium partners from one country or region can be maximum 75% of the total project efforts, also measured in past months. The fifth is the CETPartnership governing board members, General Assembly members, and researchers from the project funding organization in the call are eligible, so you cannot have in your project. The sixth, the project must start before 15th December 2024. The seventh, the project must finish in 36 months from the start of the project. Eighth, the proposals must include a work package called Reporting and Knowledge Community. You can read more about the work package in Annex A in the core text. Next slide, please. A project consortium must be built to submit the proposal and may consist of the following project consortium partners. The first is a coordinator who is a legal entity participating with funding from the call and responsible for the coordinating and managing the project. The coordinator cannot be changed after the deadline for the proposal submission and before the funding decision in the call process. You also have beneficial partners who are project consulting partners participating with funding from the call. There must be at least 3 beneficial partners, including the coordinator. A project consortium may also include self-finance partners who are project consortium partners participate from any country with their costs declared but without applying for the funding in the code. Project consortium may also may have the associate project partners participate from any country without declaring their cost or applying funding from in the code. As for the project consortium, there may be a specific core module and national requirements. So you should be careful, read the core text. Between the proposal and the full proposal, no fundamental changes initiated by the project consortium alone may be accepted, but minor changes in the project consortium as well as in the project budget, applied funding may be accepted. You can read details in the subsection 6.2.1 in the core text. Next slide, please. Here you can see the funding organization participating in the call. You can see the details in the core text. You see the link in the slide. Next slide, please. A bit about the proposal submission. As I mentioned, there are 2 stages in the call process. Transnational submission should be done on the submission platform. The proposal stage on the proposal stage, it should be from the project consortium to one core module. You must choose one core module from the proposal. And when you are invited to the next stage when you submit a full proposal to the same core module. Besides the transnational submission, you may have need to submit the national regional level. Please read honestly his experience about it. Now I'd like to have Raffaele from Italy to explain about the submission platform. Thank you for that.
Yes, thanks a lot, Heiko. May I have the slide, please? Okay, here they come. Hello, good morning, everybody. Raquel Nocera from Ministry of University and Research. We are managing the submission and evaluation platform, and I will try to drive you through the main features of the platform. The next, please. All right, this is the entry page. For those who already participated in our calls, the IP address, it is the same. Anyhow, you can access the submission system from the CETP partnership website. And to start creating and submitting your proposal, you need to log in. Next slide, please. Step one is indeed to create an account. If you are a new user, you will have to register. So to fill out the form with your contact details, and you will receive a validation email and you will be required to follow the instruction. If you are already registered on the platform, because maybe you already applied last year, you can log in with the same email address you used last year. And you will then access the dashboard for the coordinator or partners. In order to create a proposal, you need to click on the Add button you see on the screen on the left-hand side. For the coordinators, you will see the list of proposals you are going to submit in case you have more than one. The same for the partners, so you are invited, and you can open the proposal by clicking on the eye icon you see on the right-hand side of the screen. The next, please. Next again. In order to create a proposal, you need to fill in the basic information and data, meaning the acronym, the project title, and your organization. Fill the form and click on the green button. Next, please. This is a dashboard for submitting the proposal. This information are always displayed on the dashboard, and you will see the status of the submission, of the drafting of the submission of your proposal. Next, please. You see, you will be assigned a code, which is the identification code of your proposal. Next. And on the right-hand side, you will see some basic information on the submission process, meaning the start date where you started, you created your proposal, the last edit, so the last time you make a change, an addition or whatever in your proposal. And finally, when you're ready to submit, you will be there will be a time stamp for the recording the date and hour of the submission. Next, please. A necessary step as a coordinator, it is to invite the partners in your proposal. You see a green button in the dashboard, the main dashboard, which is invite partners. Next, please. There it is. Next. Okay, to invite partners, you need to fill this form for any partner you're going to invite. You had to input the first name, the family name, and of course the email address of the partner you're going to invite. Next, please. As a coordinator, you will see the list of the partners as long as you invite them. Next. the status, you see, this is the partner on the left-hand side, second row in the screenshot. The status of the invitation is pending, meaning you send the invitation, but the partner has not yet accepted. You can discard the partner anytime or in case the partner don't want to accept to be included in the proposal. Next, please. As an invited partner, you will receive an invitation email. The text is more or less like the one you see it. Next, please. You have to, if you are a new partner, you have to create an account on the platform. If you are already registered, just submit, just sign in. Next, please. Next. Okay, and as an invited, the previous one. Okay, as an invited partner, you will, once you access the platform, you will see a notification. The icon is right on the top. It is the bell, and you will see the red dot, meaning you have received a notification. Next, please. This is the how it is, more or less. You had to create in order to open the notification, and you will see the invitation. You can have more than one, of course, and you can accept or discard the invitation until you accept. Nothing happens, so you are not able to do anything on the platform. You need to accept as a partner in order to input your organization detail and other data on the platform. Next, please. And there it is. As a coordinator, once the partner has accepted the invitation, the status you see on your dashboard changes from pending to in progress, meaning that the partner has accepted the invitation and has to fill in their details, the part of the proposal, meaning the budget table, organization detail, principal investigators, and so on. Next, please. As a coordinator, you have to then fill in the proposal. This means to start filling the form, the project proposal. For the project proposal, you have to input some data in the electronic submission system and to upload the project description as a separate PDF, but you can upload it in the platform. The navigation is structured in two main blocks, project data and partner data, but you can shift from one to another. You don't need to follow the order in a particular way, so you can just fill in one section at a time as you like. Next, please. This is a screenshot that just to give you a flavor of how the form is structured. As a normal form, you have to fill in. You will find some field already filled out by the platform, meaning the acronym and the project title, because these are the basic details that can never change throughout the submission system. Next, please. And this is a flavor, just an overview of the partner data section of the menu. If you are a partner, like in this case, you will see yourself as partner 2. If you are the coordinator, you will see coordinator on the left-hand side. One important thing to highlight here is that any participant in project proposals submitted to the CETP need to have a so-called PIC, Participant Identification Code, which is released by the European Commission. So any partner shall be registered on the funding and tender portals and shall have a PIC, including the partners that eventually are from abroad, so from outside the EU, from other foreign countries. They need to register on the funding and tender portal and get this PIC. So just advise them to do this timely, not at the very last minute. Next, please. As a coordinator, on your dashboard, you have two main validation tools. The first one is to identify some missing field in case you maybe just forgot to fill out some of the required field. If you click next, please, then you will see the list of fields with no information that you need to fill out, and there is an automatic check regarding the requirement related to the transnational eligibility criteria. It is the identify constraint button. You can click it. Please next. And then you will be highlighted which of the basic requirements you didn't fulfill. Until all mandatory fields are completed or all requirements are fulfilled, you will not be able to submit your proposal. Next, please. Once and only once your proposal is complete, meaning you have filled out all data and information requested, you can submit. In this case, the button is not highlighted. If everything is fine, you will see it in green. But at any time, you can have a preview of the information. It is a PDF preview of all the information and data you already submitted. And finally, next, please. In case of some IT issues, which of course can happen all the time, so no panic, just file a ticket to the IT support. On the submission system entry page, you will find the link to the IT support. It is highlighted here at the bottom on the left-hand side. And before submitting the proposal, in case, I might suggest you to have a look at the pre-proposal template. At any moment, you can have a kind of tutorial. It is the pre-proposal submission guideline, so you can just open it if you are uncertain on how the submission works, and maybe find there your answers. If not, just as the call management for anything related to eligibility criteria, content, or whatever for IT issues, again, the IT support. This is all from my side. It only remains to wish you good luck, and please submit your excellent proposal. Many thanks.
Thank you so much, Raquel. Now we know much more about the submission process. Let's see, Maria Eng from Call Management. It'd be really nice to know a little bit more about how the evaluation process goes after we've submitted our proposal. I think you have some interesting insights to share with us. If Maria is close at hand. Let's see, we do have pictures. Well, let's see. Otherwise, we don't have Maria here at the moment. Perhaps Frederick and I can talk a little bit about the evaluation
Maria
process.
has a little problem, but she's coming. Just a moment.
Do you hear me now?
Oh, now we hear you, Maria. Perfect. Welcome, Maria.
Vad ska jag använda dem med?
We are.
Hello. Do you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Yeah.
It's great.
Very strange. I tested earlier and it worked, but now suddenly it isn't working.
Yeah, it changed its mind. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So let's see if I can lead you through this. So I'm also working at the call management team in research in Norway, and I will lead you through the proposal evaluation. So next slide, please. So once the call has closed and everything has been submitted, like Kelly said, it's the coordinator that submits, by the way. We will perform the eligibility check. So it's the call management doing that for the transnational eligibility. It's the TRIs for the module eligibility, and it's the funding organizations for the national regional requirements. And for those proposals that have fulfilled the eligibility, transnational eligibility criteria, they will be, the evaluation will be performed for them. And it will be 3 independent evaluators looking at the proposals separately. They will score according to the same evaluation criteria as in Horizon Europe, the excellence, the impact, and the quality and efficiency of implementation. And there will be scores from 0 to 5 in full steps. And to be able to be funded, the score must, the total score must end at 10 or above. So everything below 10 will be cut off for funding. So they will not be able to go on even if there is money left. And there must also be at least a score of 3 for each criteria. And all these evaluations will result in 1 ranking list per module. Okay, we can take the next slide, please. So the criteria are similar to Horizon Europe, although there are some additions for the partnership. So the first sub-criteria for excellence is clarity and pertinence of the project's objectives and the extent to which the proposed work is ambitious and goes beyond the state of the art. Here it is, of course, in relation to the call text and in relation to the call module context. There may be, for example, different research approaches, research objectives approaches, or innovation approaches. And there are different TRLs in different call modules requirements. The second sub-criteria is soundness of the proposed methodology, including the underlying concepts, models, assumptions, interdisciplinary approaches, appropriate consideration of the gender dimension in research and in innovation content, and the quality of open science practices, including sharing and management of research and innovation outputs, and engagement of citizens, civil society, and end users where appropriate. So for the CET partnership, cross-cutting dimensions is an important issue, and there may be instructions regarding this in the call modules. There are also separate sections describing this a little bit more in the call text, and you can also find some text about gender dimension and open science in the chapter 4 of the call text regarding this criteria. So we can go to the next slide, please. So for the impact criteria, the first sub-criteria is likely scale and significance of the expected outcomes and impacts, including the added value of the transnational collaboration and credibility of the pathways to achieve the expected outcomes and impacts specified in the work program. That is the call text. So for CET partnership, transnational collaboration is one of the goals. So this is an important aspect which have to be included. And you can find more about this in the different call module texts and also text, when it's important, and it's important to show this. So the second sub-criteria is suitability and quality of the measures to maximize expected outcomes and impacts, as set out in the dissemination implementation plan, including communication activities. This is similar to Horizon Europe and should, of course, be explained in relation to TRL. The third sub-criteria is extent to which the project is relevant for the energy transition through appropriate involvement of end users, need owners, and/or the private sector. And this sub-criteria is, of course, extra important for the CET partnership, as everything should be relevant for the energy transition. So this is added in comparison to Horizon Europe. We can go to the third part, which is quality and efficiency of the implementation. So the first sub-criteria is quality and effectiveness of the work plan, assessment of risks, and appropriateness of effort assigned to work packages and the resources overall. And here it is important to add that the mandatory reporting and knowledge community work package has to be included in the work plan. And the second sub-criteria is capacity and role of each participant and the extent to which the consortium as a whole brings together the necessary expertise. And here you describe the collaboration and what brings different parts together to being a better total. And as Aiko earlier said, there must be at least 3 beneficiary partners from 2 different countries in Europe, and one of them be a coordinator. So this is the minimum requirement. The consortium can, of course, be much bigger than that, and all should be explained. So we take the next slide, please. So to finish, the call timeline is now here, and you see we have 1 week from this info day to the call opening in 20th of September. And you can find the way through the web page or the link that Raquel showed earlier. And there will then be a second info day or more a question and answer during the CET Partnership annual conference. And the question and answer section will be the 25th of October. The conference is both 24th and 25th. You're welcome to join that. In November, the 22nd of November, the first stage is closed, and there will be no other submissions after that date at 2 o'clock, 22nd of November. And during this time, you must be aware of that there can be national or regional submissions that you have to do, depending on what the different partners in the consortium, what the rules are. So please check the Annex B of the call text or go to the webpage where you can find for each country or each organization the specific requirements by clicking the name of the different organizations. And this may be also for the second call stage, which opens in January, 25th of January. Then everyone is noticed if they are informed if they can go to the second stage, or if they are not doing this and have to end the process there. If they are invited for the second stage, they're 2 months before to write the full proposal, and 27th of March, that the second stage closes. And during all this time, we of course have our B2Match platform if you want to find partners that you lack in your consortium. There may be some changes or additions to the consortium to the second stage, so it is possible also that way, but there are also TRI events and national regional events which suggest that you look into, because it's very important to contact your national to be able to know that you are eligible partner in different countries. After the 27th of March, there is again an evaluation, and there is also the consensus meetings, and it all takes place until the end of June when the funding decision is taken. And then the project must start before the 15th of December, same year. So sometime from September to December. I think this was the last slide I had.
Okay, thank you very much, Maria. Now that was really nice to get a background on the evaluation criteria, as well as the perspective on when we have different deadlines process doing an application to CTP. Now, with our next topic, we're going to be looking into matchmaking. Here we have Katarina Rafael that is going to come and help us get a little background about how we can use the platform we have to find new partners. Katarina, are you online here with us?
Yes, thank you for the nice introduction. Yeah, I see already on B2Match we have some matchmaking going on in the chat, so this is good to hear. And now I'm going to introduce you how the matchmaking actually works on B2Match, so you can continue there afterwards. So you all registered to our event and matchmaking platform, and it has three main functionalities. On the one hand side is our event platform, where you can find and attend all our events, including central events such as this one today, but we also have the annual conference in October, so please save the date. Then we have also thematic and national events related to our joint call. So we are updating these events on a regular basis. And we also have a newsletter where we also inform you about further activities within the CET partnership. And then last but not least, the main thing I'm going to talk about today is the matchmaking part. So you can find and get in touch with potential project partners for your CET partnership joint calls. And you can also get in touch with the TRI leaders if you have further questions regarding the core modules. So next slide, please. So how to find a match, at least on our platform. First, the option would be to go to meetings, and then below you have a green frame where you can click on request meetings. Next slide, please. And once you click that green button, you will see the participants list. And on the left, you can also filter participants, for instance, by organization type or countries. And once you activate it, it shows also different types or also countries. And there is also a search function where you can type in specific thematic areas to find suitable candidates. And they show then up on the right-hand side. And here you can again, click on request meeting. So the green button, request meeting. Next slide, please. And then this window pops up. You can invite up to 6 further attendees, and you can arrange meetings. So in your agenda for today, you have a session on matchmaking opportunities from 1 until 6. So this is more like a placeholder for you where you can arrange meetings, because we have quite a lot of people online today. But of course, you're also welcome to schedule other meetings later on at a specific date, time, or duration, which you can then just enter in this box here on the right-hand side. And the other person will then be informed via mail and will need to accept your suggestion. And then the meeting will take place. There is also an automatic time zone consideration. So under meetings, you will then have also the overview of all your meetings and its status. You can also reschedule or edit the meeting, and you will have a site on when which meeting starts. Next slide, please. Then we also have another tab on B2Match, which is called Opportunities. Here you can add your opportunity on top for instance, for a project cooperation or a specific service. And other participants can also filter and easily request meetings again. So here on the left-hand side, once you activate this filter option, different project cooperation types or services pop up. And you can again also type in the search field a thematic focus. And our TRI offices are also on Beat2Match. You can either find them under the home button, and then there is a contact site, or you just search them in the field or in the tab of participants. And here you have the list of the TRI offices once listed. You can also have a look into the slides later on if you cannot remember all of them right now. So this was it from my side. You can also contact us via matchmaking@CETPartnership.eu. And we wish you great matchmaking in the afternoon. And if you have any questions, feel free to raise them in Slido or write us an email. Thank you.
That's lovely. Thank you very much, Katarina. So we are a little bit ahead of schedule, actually. Things are just rolling along. I think the next section we have is question and answers. We've received all sorts of fascinating questions that we'd like to address. So I was going to welcome Fredrik back here so that maybe we could start looking at a couple of those questions that have come up on Slido. Here we go.
Yes, thanks, Christina, and thank you for helping us also, the technical team, with the screen. I think it's good we have extra time here because to some extent, I think this is one of the most important parts where we can interact more with you. Keep moving on with questions. I should say already from the beginning, I'm not sure we will be able to answer all to the detail that you need. Then, of course, you should be aware that both through the matchmaking tool that you were just presented, you can get in contact with the TRIs. You can also email through the contact information that was in the slides. You should also check up for things that are related to your national regional funding agencies. What are the specific contact information? And this will also be provided in the call text. We will go through the questions, try to get as far down as we can. You can see here they are sorted by the popularity, where you have been voting, we could say, on which are the most popular questions. I will say something, looking on all the questions, there's a lot of question obviously about funding rates, also how this comes together with these different call modules, but also with the different funding partners. So I will try to say some things on the overall on that first. And one thing that is, I think, important, when we can start with the first question and connect it to the overall, the funding rate that you will have as a partner, it will always be finally defined in the national criteria, but all of the funding partners, or the regional criteria, all of the funding partners use funding instruments that in one way or the other has to, in the end, be like in the European setting, aligned with the general block exemption rule. So we have similar funding rates that we need to rely to. Then there might, what is legally possible, as you might know, is not always what might be what is offered by the funding partner. So here you always have to monitor it on your funding partner level. But basically what it goes from is, if it's a large entity, a large company, then usually it might start somewhere around 25% if you have a project that is more close to market, or the higher TRL scale, which you can read many places in the call text. And then if you're a smaller or medium-sized enterprise, then you get some more funding rate can go up towards 50% or even higher for small entities. Then if it is lower TRL, so a more research-oriented action, then there is a higher funding rate. So these are the basic structure, but in the end, what you actually get depends on your national funding partner. If you're a research institute, a research organization like a university, then technically it is possible also to get up to 100% funding rate. But again, it depends on your national level. As a segue from that, there was a lot of question or some question also about the call modules and how we can combine and how much money is available in each call module. What you might notice if you read in detail in the call text, that some partners have dedicated budget to some specific call modules. So there is not exactly the same amount available for all call modules. You will also notice that the different funding partners have different amount of funding available in general. So some partners might have a lot of funding in comparison to other that has a smaller amount of funding. This, of course, will play a role, but here our advice is always that, of course, you need to monitor how much funding is available in your national, regional part, but you should, most of all, when you have that in mind, you should apply, and the best projects, to a large extent, it will not be the money that decides which call module will get a certain amount of funding, but it will be how good the project proposals are. Because in each call module, there are some flexibility. So you could say, in general, the funding would move to where we have the best projects. But having that said, this is something I think and I expect we can discuss more also in further settings, and we will of course also try to publish all the Q&A. Then if I go further now on the questions we have on the screen, when it comes to the CETPartnership 2022 call, we will not present any statistics here, but we will guide you. Maybe we can write in the chat where this information will be available. If we now, I see it's moving. There was a question on the call modules. Maybe I should look on the other slide. So someone asked if it's possible to apply in a project that would cover several call modules at the same time. And this is not possible. You have to choose one call module, and it might be, which you have already experienced, because depending on, of course, how we cut the cake, what are the topics, some of the topics that you are working with, you might seem like, oh, this fits in this call topics, but it might also fit in this call topic. So for instance, we have the example of the topics that are covered in the TRI number 3 and TRI 5. And when this is the case, just so that the same rules applies to everyone, you should know you have to make that choice. And what you should think of here is both, of course, you need to check depending on your partners. If there's a difference where you have funding available from your national partner, that's something you should keep in mind. But for the overall project, the important thing is, where do you think you can best meet and create impact in relation to the challenge that is described in that call topic? Then maybe your project probably will contribute to some of the challenges in the other topics also, but you choose the one where you can compete the best. Because afterwards, when your project application is received, the evaluators, as was described earlier, they will evaluate each proposal, and they will then look within that call topic, that call module where you applied. They will look on all the applications, how they fit and meet that challenge. And in the scoring of your project, you will be ranked within that call module. So of course, this has an importance. So you need to choose. We will not move it if we think it fits better somewhere else. This is something that you need to do. If I then follow the questions down, it's moving around a bit, so it's a bit hard for me. Maybe, I don't know if you're presenting the live version. If it is possible to present one that is just still, then it's easier to
This is the live, what you see on the screen.
Yeah.
So this
So
is
maybe
the most liked question on
yeah.
top.
Yeah, we'll see. If it's not possible to freeze, I will try to cope. So then can you submit an application from more than one project consortium? And basically, there is no technical and any rule that prevents you from be part of several consortia on the international level. However, this is something, of course, you need to check with your national regional funding partner, because there might be rule for some. Then, of course, you also need to both think of you cannot do the same thing in two different projects and get funded twice. This, of course, not possible, but you should also be careful, because in the end, if you end up in the evaluation and let's say you would be in two proposals that are high ranked, then of course this can raise a question whether you are able to implement the project due to the fact that you would, your resources will have to be shared. So, but technically there is no prohibition against it on the international level. Then how long is a pre-proposal supposed to be? The question suppose is a bit difficult. I will here, maybe I ask if Aiko and Maria, if you are available, maybe you can jump in and support.
It's 10 pages, but that will be shown in the template, which you will find when the wall is opened.
So that's the maximum amount.
Yes.
Usually, I guess most partners usually use the maximum amount, but as we always say, if you can be very sharp in your formulations and you can formulate it shorter, that's of course also possible, but that's yeah. Then if you stay online, Maria and Aiko, there is a question also, what's the difference between the self-financed and the associated partner? Can you describe what the difference is here?
Yeah, well, the self-financed partner is a part of the consortium that make the proposal. So they are listed in the proposal. The associated partner can be described in the proposal. And in the second step, the self-financed has to submit a letter of commitment, which the associated partner does not have to do. So it's a little bit different, and also signing the consortium agreement should do, all the partners in the proposal should do that, but the associate partner doesn't have to do that if they don't.
Very good. Okay, so basically from what you described, also the self-finance partner brings resources to the project, obviously financing them by themselves or some other external. They are not applying for funding, but they bring resources to the project. The associated partner, of course, brings something to the project, but it can be, for instance, connecting it to some other ongoing activities and creating impact or contributing to the results in that way. Then the question, I'm sure many of them will come back to you here, so it's good you stay online. Can several people from one institution register for the platform and work on the same proposal? I think Raquel was mentioning some parts of this, but maybe you can clarify this back.
Yeah, if Raquel is not here, I can say something. Oh, good, Raquel.
Here I am, sorry. Yes, of course. But as invited partner, the only one that can fill out all the data and information requested is the partner invited, meaning the email account corresponding to the invited partner. You have to consider that the platform works on email account as the identification of the user. So any email accounts identifies one single user. In principle, one user for each organization.
Okay, very good, Raquel. Thank you for clarifying that. We go on, then it's a question about if a country offers only one grant of 150,000 euro, here as an hypothetical example, is it a barrier for the other partners? How does it work? And I think this is a good question, because regardless of the amount or the barrier, when you set up a project, and this is what is different from if you just apply to one funder, like a big program directly in Horizon Europe. Now, when we have this multi-funders behind, you need to check. So if you have one partner, you need to make sure that the size of what they're doing, of course, is feasible what they offer on the national or regional level. So there might be a barrier. Then you can have partners in the same project then that apply a much larger amount, but then there are some general limitations on that. You cannot have a project, for instance, that is 95% of one country and one partner. So there need to be a balance. This is also described in the call text. But technically, it is possible to participate with a small amount in the project. You need to make sure that the overall project is eligible then, but then of course that each partner meets the national and regional amount. And this is something that we always come back to during the pre-proposal phase specifically, but also in the phase after that, if you're invited to the second stage. Be very careful to check out all the information with your national and regional funding partner so that you know what is possible there. So next question, do associated partners need to be named in proposals? If so, what levels of details do they need to provide? Maybe here I go back to Maria and the others, but I think technically it's not a requirement that you have to, but it's more of how you promote your proposal and how you think it's important. Maria, can you comment on that?
Yes, I agree. They are not listed as partner in the form. They may be described in the project description if that is important for your project. Yeah.
Very good. And maybe a general thing we can say here, what you should imagine. So when you send in your international application, as was mentioned also in the part of the evaluation, there will be experts appointed to your proposal. These experts, they have not been part of developing the call text. They are not working for us as funding partner in this work now that we're contributing, but we appoint them to evaluate your proposal. They will make their interpretation of the call text, just like you make your interpretation when you apply. And together, they do both their individual evaluation and they, in the final stage, they also do then the consensus evaluation. When they do this, this is where they will look, oh, is it important to know for this project who are the associated partner? Maybe it's crucial or it's something that brings value. Then, of course, maybe you better have it there. But it might be in other cases that it might be a more general connection to associated partners. But this is something that, of course, you need to make a judgment of, but you should think of it as what makes my proposal to best meet and how can I best promote how it is impactful for the challenge that we're trying to meet. Then there's a question on call module number 2, says it's quite wide on topics, but yet the call also supports highly focused and narrow collaboration, addressing only 1 or 2 of the listed 20 plus topics. And then the question of this is correct. And here I would, it's a pretty detailed question, I would say, for that call module. Francesco, are you online still? If you are, maybe you can help us clarify this a little bit more. I think it is correct, but maybe you want to bring some more nuances to it. Yes, Francesco, I saw you now.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
Okay, yes, the topic is wide because there is coming from 11 priorities that we have selected together with all the partners of Mission Innovation. And so you can find specifically the 11 priorities that we are going to address in this topic when you read the call module. And among them, we have clusterized in the 5 areas that Michele De Nigris have shown you. So it's quite wide because it's wide the power mission that is behind this call, which is a Green Power Future mission, and has 3 great pillars: the production, the system integration, and the digitalization. So we try to underline things that we feel as a priority that are not yet addressed in other calls. And so you will find a little bit more specific ideas when you read it, but of course you can pick up one of those and develop your proposal. But maybe Michele want to add something.
Thank you. But in fact, I think if I interpret correctly, the question is more on the modules of TRI 2. So probably directly, because there are so many different topics, if I interpret correctly. So it should not be core module 2, but the core module of TRI 2, probably. But I think that the answer is essentially the same, Francesco.
About the TRI 2, of course, there are different technologies because we have clusterized all the power productions, but inside this technology, you can choose one. You can even try to hybridize them and focusing on the, of course, the efficiency and economics and environmental impact of those technologies. But yes, sure. Yeah, the idea is to have specific advancement that can be measurable and that can be actually even if possible game-changing in the power production technology system.
Thank you. I hope this clarified a bit to all of you. In the end, what you should keep in mind is when the evaluators do the evaluation, again, coming back to the call module, they don't have all this background information that we have, or those of us that have been part of developing the call text. So they will make an interpretation of what's written there, and they will evaluate on the basis of that. So this you can always lean back on. How do I promote it to the best in what is written here? And then, of course, to meet the different evaluation criteria. Then the next question I see is that CTP is more focused on R&D for technologies rather than actions to empower energy transition for citizens, for example. Then is it very focused on tech development? I think the answer is both yes and no. As you could see, there's a lot of technical aspects that are in focus. This is also how the strategic research and innovation agenda is developed. This can change from call to call, so it's not always that way. But what you should keep in mind also is that it's not only the technology development, but very much, and this you can see in some of the call topics, for instance, in the call topics that are related, for instance, to buildings, but also to a regional energy system or heating and cooling. You can find aspects, and you can find this in all call modules, but you can find aspects which are very much related to how you adapt the technology and how it works together in a system. But I would say here the same as we said before. In the end, it's your interpretation of the call module. Many of them are written with a focus from the technology, but you do also have the stakeholder approach, which you can see, for instance, in the call module on TRI 5 topics of integrated regional energy systems. Then we go to the next question. Then it's a question if Indian companies can participate in this program. I know we have Indian funding partner for some of the topics. I cannot answer straight away if this means that Indian companies in general can participate and apply funding. So this is something you need to check with the national contact point for India. What are the eligible applicants in India? Having this said, we should also make, and this relates to all the projects that you would apply for, we should make a difference between if you're applying funding or if you're participating in the project. Anyone from any country that can bring resources, if you're self-financed or you have other financing sources, can participate in the project. So even if you do not have any of the funding partners that you can apply from, if you can ensure that you have funding, your own funding or some other external funding to be part of the project, then you can be part of the proposal. And this, of course, then valid also for India. But in the Indian case, we know you have funding partners, so you should check this in the call text. Then there's a question if there's a general limit regarding the TRL or the technology readiness level, if not stated in the module. Does it limit chances to get funding if the technology readiness level is too high, 8+? Here again, you need to keep, I would say, two things in mind. One is For the overall project, of course, it will be evaluated in the call module based on how the TRLs are described, what you have there, and in relation to what is asked for, what are the expected impacts and expected outcomes of your project. And there sometimes we are looking for something that is close to market, and then of course it can be a benefit if you have a high TRL. But then at the same time, you need to look what are possible for the different funding partners. And some funding partners and some programs, they do not fund high TRL at all. You might still have them in the project if the overall project still meets the general target, but you need to make sure then that those activities that specific partner apply to are lower TRL. In the same way, then, if you have some partners that are working with very high TRL, 8+, then you need to check if this is something that the specific funding partner can fund, and this depends on what instrument they use. So the question is, or the answer to the question is maybe not super easy, but you need to check. Then there's a question on the call module number 4, if it also considers direct air capture. I think the answer is yes, but here, just to confirm, I ask if we have Åge Stangeland. Are you still?
Yes, Fredrik, this is correct. Direct air capture is included.
Very good. Thank you. Then we come back to a next question. There is, what's the budget available per project? For the TRI hydrogen and renewable fuels. Sorry, I started to read that before it changed, so I will stay on that first. And so the budget available, as we said earlier, there is not a strict budget per call module. Each funding partner have set a limit in how much funding they contribute with and what are the criteria there. To some extent, depending on where these funding partners also which call modules they participate in, it might be that they have funding that is reserved for a specific call module. But here you should look again to what I said in the beginning. You apply where you expect to meet the impact and outcome of your project best, where you think you fit the best. And then there is flexibility overall in the partnership. So if we have a lot of good applications in one call module, then usually the funding will also follow that, so that more projects can be funded in that call module. So we cannot answer a number there, unfortunately. With my question, then we have the next. I refer to projects about energy poverty, actions, energy community, exchange, good practices, etc. I think you need to consult the specific call modules, but from the topics you read out here, I would say they definitely would fit in the call topics on integrated regional energy system, which are stakeholder driven, and where these challenges are one part. If we have Tina still online, maybe you can comment on this, confirm, or if you have some other aspects to bring in. Maybe Tina is not here right now. Yeah, Tina.
Yes, I mean, if it is a kind of practically focused project that seems to fit within the call module 8 for TRI 5, I think it could be relevant for it.
Very good. Thanks, Tina. Here again, and now this was one example. I think you should also still monitor in the other call modules if there might be aspects. But one thing I think you also can keep in mind in the project design, because since you're creating a consortia and you will have different work packages addressing different aspects on the same overall goals, the questions, for instance, on energy poverty or on energy communities, these can be aspects which are related to several of the topics. Then, of course, it depends on what the focus is on your overall project. So I would say it's also a little bit question of the project design. And again, where if you have a partner that works, for instance, if you're applying for aspects on social sciences, then you need to make sure that the funding partner that would fund then this actually have eligibility for social sciences, and there are partners that have that. As for an example, if you apply to the Swedish Energy Agency, that could be possible, and I know this is possible for some other partners. So it's not a straightforward answer, but it's possible, and you need to find your way. I would say talk to the TRIs or contact them and check with them what they think of the topics that you are looking for, but also talk to other partners. You can use the matchmaking, of course, to see how would this be a part of a bigger project.
Yes, and can I just add something to that? You're very welcome to contact us, the different TRIs to see if it seems relevant to apply, but we cannot give any kind of pre answers on whether it will be accepted or something like that. But absolutely.
Very good. Thanks, Tina. Then let's go on to the next question. Is it possible for some partners to apply for IOA? I think this refers to the innovation action, whilst others apply for research-oriented action under the same project. And basically, again, similar to what I've said earlier, you need to look what is asked for in the call module. If the call module asks for an overall project that is more of an innovation-oriented action, then this is what the overall application should be written. Still, it might contain elements, as long as this is fundable from the partners that will fund the project, that would be more towards research-oriented actions. But doing so, you of course need to keep in mind that still it needs to come together in a project that makes sense. We have such examples in earlier calls, so it's a bit of a project design thing, but you need to keep that in mind. For those of you who might not be familiar with the innovation-oriented action or research-oriented action, a little bit simplified, this also relates to the technology readiness level. So the innovation-oriented action, then you work with the higher TRLs, whereas in the other case, you have lower TRLs, which then also, of course, influence potentially the funding rate that you could get. Next question, how will funding...
Just to add to that, Frederick, that there are some call modules that are actually only research-oriented approach and some that are only innovation-oriented approach, and you cannot mix in those. You cannot mix. So then there is
the overall project, yeah. But maybe we should ask some of the partners, because it still might be that elements of the project, of course, doesn't make the project oriented, but there might be low TRL elements in a high TRL project. But Francesco, maybe you want to respond also.
What you say is right. Of course, you need to choose one of the modules, and in some case you can justify why in that particular issue you will not reach for instance, the TRL related to the innovation approach, no, and say at lower TRL. That could be possible, but keeping in mind that you need to choose anyway the call module.
Very good. Thanks, Francesco. I hope this clarified it sufficiently for you. Next question, how will funding be splitted for the call module 2023-8? And I think here we're talking about when you say splitted, is it for the 8A and B? I need to check who has number 8, or I'm checking in my list here just to see.
That's us.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if I understand the question.
Okay, so that, yeah, so but then maybe I can reply, because so this is an overall question. There is no division of funding for the call module 8. You need to look again, like we said earlier, you need to look who are the funding partners. That so if you are from a certain country region, are you eligible for funding in this call module? That's the first question for you as an individual partner. And then how much funding that is available for that call module, that will eventually be defined by how many good proposals that qualify above the threshold. So there is no definite answer to that beforehand. Then there's a question on call module number 5 that it says it aims also for new electrolysis concepts. Are the mentioned concepts, then there are some examples, AMEC, alkaline, PEMEC, SOIC, specifically excluded from this call? So this is a very specific question. Maybe if, I don't know if Isabel, if you're online, if you are able, or Auge, to reply quickly to that.
Yeah, I can answer actually. I mean, very directly, I would say yes, is excluded. But I don't know the characteristics of the development that is proposed, because we are considering new developments. So I would, if they just go for this technology, they should describe the disruptive nature of the technology itself to be considered a new concept. And the other way is to integrate this in with another type of technology, because that is one of the priorities of this call too, is to integrate different technologies. Basically is this, but I can develop this further if the researchers contact me.
Thank you very much, Isabel. We go on with the next question. Can an Argentine university participate in the CETPartnership program? So the question here is if you can apply funding. At the moment, unfortunately, we do not have Argentinian funding partners. But if you happen to still be able to participate with own funding in a project, we are more than happy to see projects with Argentinian partners. Also, it might be depending on what your research are. You could collaborate in other ways with some of the partner in the projects. And it might be possible that some of those would be interested to fund you, but this is something you always would have to discuss with them. For the more longer term, if we talk about the CETPartnership program, we are constantly and continuously looking for new funding partners. If there are funding partners that we get in contact with or could get in contact with, for instance, in Argentina, we are more than happy to discuss with them how they could collaborate, both in terms of the calls, but also in the overall program. So if you have an input there, you're also welcome to send us an email with this, and we can try to get in contact with the funding partners from your country. But in this call, they are not funding any, so you have to be self-financed. Then next question, there are both regional and national sponsor from the same country. Is it possible to receive funding from both, or should we select one only? This is not an example in a lot of places, but there are several examples still. This is something you need to both look on the criterias, and you should consult your regional or national funding partners to ensure which one that would be the criteria that you meet. It usually does not happen. I'm a little bit careful here because I don't know exactly how it's set out right now, but I wouldn't expect that you get funding from both. Usually you will be funded by one or the other, but of course it depends of the type of activities. So this is something you should consult on the national or regional level.
But in the form, there is only a possibility to choose one.
Yeah, there is only, yeah. Thanks for clarifying that, Maria. So in the form, you will be guided to one. If you're not sure if that's the right, again, you should consult them. And if you need to change that. Good. Then is it possible to be part of a EU-wide consortium if we are a startup that is not yet founded until November 23? We plan to register as a company until December 23. Again, regarding your eligibility, if you plan to apply funding being part of the project, this is something you need to discuss then with the national or regional funding partners. When it comes to how your project proposal will be evaluated, then of course this is something you need to discuss with the other partners, and if it is something that seems contributing to a better project proposal, there is no technical limitation to that. But make sure if you plan to apply funding that you check with your national funding partner. Then the next question, what are the main focus and success indicators of the integrated regional energy system TRI? Politics, signing charters, investments, deploying projects, etc. And here I would turn over to if it's possible to give a short answer by Tina or Christina, if you are still there.
I am here, but I'm not sure how to answer this question. Maybe Christina can say something.
I also think this is a very good question. I think that often, like, I mean, our focus in this call module is very much on cooperation on the stakeholders, and the indicators are going to be very relevant to those like circumstances and resources that we have there. So I think that certainly some of the things you've listed here are interesting. Like a level of political engagement or investments. These are all very interesting. A number of stakeholders, different types of stakeholders that are involved. But we haven't been so specific necessarily in what requiring specific indicators. They should be relevant to the kind of project that you're proposing.
Thanks, Christina. And Tina, I would also, like I said earlier, go in and read in detail in the call text. You will see also there are different levels of the projects that you can address how to make a change. It can happen based on economical aspects, but also political or technical aspects. So what we've seen in the last year's call, but also in calls before this partnership, is that different projects can have different approaches. You might have a regional project, integrated regional energy system project, but you approach maybe mainly challenges in the market or mainly challenges with the stakeholders, how they relate to each other or other aspects. So this is up to then. I see time is running, so I'll try to rush through a few more. At 25, we need to stop, but we will keep the others up. So who evaluate the second stage of proposal? The answer here is it is external experts. Of course, the eligibility and check of you from a national regional point, this is done by the national regional funding agencies. But the scoring of your project, how it ranks, etc., this is done by external reviewers. Then the next question, we are interested in hydrogen-powered city buses. Someone want to reach out maybe for the matchmaking. Let's enter the matchmaking. What is the earliest the project could start? Maybe there's a simple answer. I don't remember exactly, but we're talking next fall, Maria.
September 2024.
Yeah, so September 2024. Next question, do the applicants need to provide matching funds? If so, what percentage? I think it relates to a question also I answered earlier. No, it doesn't have to be exactly matching funds, but you need to have a balance in the project so it meets the transnationality criteria. And of course, you need to meet the national, regional. I see Maria turn the screen on. You want to add something? No. We stay with that, but please reach out if you need more details. Check the call text. Then it's a question about the PICs. if they need to be validated for the submission, or is it declared sufficient? That, Maria.
That's, yeah, exactly. It's declared is sufficient. So it's easy to do a quick pick if that's needed.
Yeah, very good. And for those that don't have an idea, what is a PIC?
It's a European Commission project number or organization number. And on the start page, there are instructions on where to go to do these numbers and so on. So please go to the platform and you will get the information.
Please go to the platform and you will get it. Please go to the platform. Oh, that's an interesting echo. If you're possible to turn off. Yeah, it's good. Interesting echo. If you're possible. Let's see. Yeah, hopefully we are don't have any more echoes. So this is an identity you apply for. Hopefully it was clarified. Next question: is it possible to participate, for instance, as a demonstrator in more than one Call 10B proposal? I would refer to an earlier question and response. Technically, it might be possible, but here again, it depends. If you bring resources, I would be very careful to bring resources to the same project to different projects in the same call module. But of course, this depends if you're an associated partner or if you are a self-funded partner or if you apply for funding. And if you apply for funding, then of course you need to meet the national regional criteria. Then next question, if Ukraine as a European associate country is eligible for the call. Unfortunately, we do not have Ukraine funding partners in the call right now. We've had the discussion and hopefully in the future we will have. As such, it means you are not eligible to apply for funding, but you are more than welcome to participate in the project. And but then it will require resources from your own funding or from other sources. Next question, are the call model topics aligned to national funding topics or more relevant, do this match? I would say that there is no single yes or no answer to that. In some cases it might be, in some cases it might not be. If you can imagine that we are more than 50 funding partners that try to coordinate. In some cases, we will follow the thematics that you have on national regional level. In other cases, there might be a different metrics. So there is not, but hopefully you should still be guided so it fits as good as possible. But again, consult your national regional funding partner. Christina, I see you looking at me. We are out of time.
I think it's wonderful with the clarity and all the good questions that we received here. Amazing that we got through so many of them. But now we're in the now the next stage of our meeting is that we are going to go into national question and answer session. Or if you've organized individual matchmaking, we'd really like you to go into those meetings, and you can find them, of course, by looking at B2Match. That's where the link to those meetings that will now start from 12:30 to 1. We have the national meetings for those countries that are available right now. And then, like Frederick said before, there may be, you should definitely check our website, the CETP Partnership website, for additional meetings that are coming, national and also TRI focused meetings. Let's see. I also like to mention that there's an event survey that we would very much love your feedback and to see if what you thought of this information events and how we can learn to get the information out in a way that is very useful for all of you that take the time to be with us. So Frederick.
Yeah, just some clarification. So thanks, Christina. I see some questions. How are we sorting in the national meetings? I think the national partners are getting prepared. Maybe Katarina, I don't know if I saw you recently, maybe you can help us clarify for the participants if it's something specifically they should think of now that we didn't mention so that they get right.
Yes, no, I think you did it very well. So the participants who would like to join the national sessions please go to B2Match and click on one of the national sessions which you can see in the agenda. So you can just click on the green Join Online session button and we will meet in the room soon.
Very good. And then, as I mentioned in the beginning, you might not find all of them. So for some of you that don't find your national event, maybe you do something else now, but check the webpage. I know, for instance, Italy have a national event, I think tomorrow. So there you can meet and have a lot of time talking to them. So this is something you should also keep. We will keep having events to try to get you informed, both on the national, but also on the thematic level. So.
Excellent. Then I guess we just need to thank everyone. Thank you all for taking the time to be at this event. And thank you to all the wonderful presenters that we had, giving all the information that we received today.
Very good. Thank you. I just agree. And I would say also for the questions you didn't see, the answers, we will keep answering them on the webpage, so you get them. Okay. Thank you, everyone. See you later in matchmaking or national sessions or in any other metrics where we might collaborate. Good luck, all the applicants and all of you.